51 dirt.
Like super hot.
Which could be, it's a week we get together, which mail. Well, that. Amazon.
Okay, good morning. It is Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. Your Richland County Board of Commissioners are now in session. I am Commissioner Tony Barrow, joined by Commissioner Mears and Commissioner Banks. I think Carl Hunnell is hiding down there. He'll take pictures of you in your worst position, so get ready. He's down there. Our clerk, Stacy Crawl. We got a whole host of people from the chamber today. Ellen Hines, Clint Knight, Barrett Thomas, Sandy Messner, Jessica Gribben joining us from the Shelby side of things. Our clerk, Andrew Keller, and our friends from DRM back there who's taking a little action shots today. So hopefully they'll do better than Carl with their video footage. And anyone else in Zoom land today?
I think Andrew's our administrator.
Our county administrator, sorry.
And these three ladies don't have a bad side, so Carl is not.
We know Barrett and Clint do. So I mean,
Not Daryl's their favorite.
That's right.
all right, they are here.
Have no good side at all.
Yeah. Just to recap for anyone listening, the county does contract with the chamber to oversee and partner with us on economic development of the county. And we always ask them to come in a couple times a year to kind of update us. And we're going to turn that over for Ellen to tell the taxpayers what's going on.
Great. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. It's truly an honor and privilege to work with the county in this way. Sorry, by the way, if I wince every now and then, but I did seem to injure my rib yesterday. So anytime, it only hurts when I laugh. So no joking.
You fall?
No, I was trying to jimmy a window in my house.
But that's.
Just the standard
That's
0
right.
degrees.
That's right.
In the window because it's so nice outside.
That's right. I was being resourceful.
Okay.
After this, I hope not to go to the ER. Just kidding. But back to the report, we really take this very seriously. It's not only the heart and vision and the soul of what we do, but we know that anything that we do will help benefit the community. So we're very focused on that. I'm going to quickly talk to you about a little bit of who we are for anybody who's not that familiar with us. 2024, really our team is going to go through specific areas of expertise and then hit a couple of things for 2025. So as you know, the Richland Area Chamber and Economic Development is a partnership between three organizations, the Chamber, Richland Community Development Group, and the Mansfield Richland Area Educational Foundation. So with that, a lot of additional resources, I think, that help contribute to the community and what we do. As far as our economic development team, you might not know, but collectively within our group, we have over 20 economic development, well over 14 and workforce development. I have received 9 awards and have 2 economic development certifications. So again, very focused. We also have a diverse skill set and personal experts in a number of areas from finance and banking to loan programs, real estate, staffing, recruitment, manufacturing, HR, and a lot of experience working with entrepreneurs, small to large businesses, and in the area of tourism, marketing, and promotions. So again, I just wanted to really demonstrate that with your contribution and support towards us, again, wanting to maximize the benefits that not only you see, but our entire community. Also happy to share that last year we had nearly 110 events to help connect to businesses or help them grow. From the Richland Community Development Group Leadership Development Forums to programming and succession planning, cybersecurity, AI, leadership topics, active shooter awareness to community education and tours. We've really, again, had a very busy and successful year. Along with those events that we had, again, to help connect community to our businesses, we did a lot in regards to the Rural Industrial Park Loan Fund Program, additional dollars in workforce development, helped work with some community planning and also redevelopment, and did a lot within the marketing arena. So again, our team will share more about that in just a couple of minutes. Wanted to also share with you some of the 2025 highlights. At the end of 2024, we had a strategic planning and revisioning retreat. We will be updating our 3-year strategic plan in the next couple of months. And we came out of there with really an increased focus on a few areas, from business development and attraction to redevelopment to talent attraction and boosting business resources. Those are going to be really some of our key areas of focus this next year. We want to do more in the way of helping support businesses and community members in the area of wellness, both health and finance, and also amplify our marketing and outreach through updated websites and communication plans. We will be growing our team and look more to share with you in the near future about that, as well as our relationship and our support plan to the Richland County Commissioners and our community. Without further ado, we do have a couple of events I'm going to mention to you at the end of our presentation, but we'll kick it off with Barrett Thomas, our Senior Economic Development Director.
So on our economic development page, the first thing on the list is Alliance Innovations. So they were repairing space at the 905 Hickory building and bought their own building, moved in to the old Sarka building, which is how most people know it. So they have expanded. They've got 55,000 square feet that they're using there. They're going to lease some of the other space. They make tooling that then is used in the automotive industry. They make the tooling for other companies to make all the parts. So it's a real critical, like very exacting piece of infrastructure that goes into that automotive system. All those things have to be really precise because all of their tooling gets used over and over and over and over to make all the production parts. So super excited to see them expand. We also did the Richland County Site Summit last year, kind of brought in all the experts that do site development work at Team Neo and Jobs Ohio and had them sit here in our building and go through, what's happening in Mansfield, what can we do, what's happening in Ontario, what can we do, and help build a plan for how we do site development so that those sites are ready for companies to locate in. So that's been helpful to give us a roadmap of how to move forward. Also helped a lot in Ontario's comprehensive plan. That was a good project, working through the things that they can do and how to leverage their assets to make Ontario special and unique and kind of activate the things that they're interested in. We did a lot of work in aviation. So Clint and I worked on and I think Clint's going to talk more about that. That was out at the airport. That was really successful. We're planning to do that again. We've got a bunch of partners in Northeast Ohio, the Advanced Air Mobility Group in Northeast Ohio that kind of leveraged their contacts to bring those folks here. That was very successful. And then we also had those folks in to talk about advanced air mobility at our December RCDG leadership meeting. That was probably one of the leadership meetings that got the most comments and feedback afterwards. So that was really exciting. There's a lot of people interested in advanced air mobility. And that Anduril project that's now in Rickenbacker, like those drones are coming, all of that stuff is happening. So this is a good place to build out some of that infrastructure in the supply chain that's going to go feed that new project with 4,000 jobs. So we've done business support, helping to secure loans for local businesses through our collateral enhancement program. On the next page, North Central Fabrication probably doubled the size of their plant here. So they are adding perfect. Thank you. But they're adding more capacity and doing new product lines they didn't have before. They were kind of buying some of those things from out of state. So they're insourcing that now. So we're familiar with the Ripple loan, that $4 million that has wrote the enabling legislation to have Athena apply for that. So that building is kicking off. They've done the site work already. They were saying that building is going to be ready Q4. And then sometimes they say, maybe to be Q1 the following year. So every time I see Randy, and you guys should do this too, tell him like we need that building for Christmas. So keep pushing on that. So we collaborate with a lot of other partners, Land Bank, working with the redevelopment side of what the Land Bank is, the work that they've done. We found an architecture firm in Columbus that's done a lot of good work helping us re-envision what can happen at that old YMCA site on Park Avenue. So we found through that process, we can stick way more housing units there than expected. So there's some interesting possibilities there that kind of depends on how things flow, but we wanted to make sure that we could help the Land Bank vision what these properties can be when when they're cleaned up and ready to be redeveloped. Last thing is a partnership with City Mansfield. So Tim Bowersock has been City Mansfield's Economic Development Director for 26 years, a long time. And he's done a lot of amazing work. A lot of what we call the industrial park in Mansfield is a series of 8 industrial parks. And Tim worked on each one of those separately, building out the infrastructure, finding the dollars to go put in the roads and the infrastructure, and then bringing in companies to fill all of those spots. He's done a lot of work. So as he retired, the city hired RCDG to provide some of those economic development services, and we're helping the city with that. So lots of things in economic.
Kurt, just a quick question. I always wondered this, and you guys are the economic development experts. So when you have these projects come online, it's a lot easier to quantify. Okay, it's going to bring so many jobs. The employer knows the payroll, et cetera, et cetera. You can quantify the growth in the new jobs, payroll, whatnot. But I always wondered, what are the drivers you guys look at to say, okay, we know we've gained these many jobs on these projects, but how do we know if a county, Richland County, another county hasn't lost jobs? Meaning, how do the economic development folks, you guys, what do you use to determine whether there's been net gains in payroll, jobs gained, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? I always wondered how that, we can look at sales tax, and now that's a very 20,000 foot level. Okay, but I don't have the markers in the networks that you guys do. So I'm curious, how do we know?
Well, I think to your point, like it's all high level. When you get to that point, all those are very high level answers. So it's difficult to know for a whole county whether you're gaining or losing jobs. Probably the best way is to add up income tax.
Is not county,
Difficult.
and it's individually based on municipalities, right?
So, there are databases out there that go scrape all that data and then make guesses about your territory, and that's probably the way to do it.
So does the chamber, Ellen, have access to those databases, so to speak, or?
That's definitely something we look into. I mean, I think when you're looking from a general basis of looking at the income tax and then looking at the sales tax, looking at unemployment rate and the number of those different factors, I think you can put together a picture as best you can. I worked in manufacturing and human resources and was part of teams that would actually report on jobs tied to incentives and different investments that we receive. So some of it's due to the way that companies report figures, but we definitely can work together to find more specific information for you.
Okay,
Do that.
I always wonder that. Thank you.
All right, I think I'm up next, so good morning. Talk about Shelby. In Shelby, in busy year, lots of really good things happening. We did take a look at there was a strategic plan in Shelby. It was, I think, 2010 through 2030. It was some ridiculously long strategic plan. It was, however, a good strategic plan. So we looked at, we need to update this, shrink down the time frame. Do we hire a consultant to do it? And the city decided, no, we'll kind of take this internally and do it ourselves. So we spent a good part of the year updating that strategic plan and rolled it out in December. So it's solid to work off of, and we'll have it out on the website so everybody can see it and keep the city moving forward. So that was part of last year. Broadway in Maine, we've talked about this before. I think Carl has dubbed it the biggest eyesore in Shelby. So that building was bought by a private owner really to eliminate blight. That was his goal, is to mitigate that blight on that corner. It's a main corner as you come into town, if you're not familiar with Broadway and Maine. The land bank has been an amazing partner on that. Unfortunately, multiple times it's been submitted for projects, and due to rules or rule changes, it was kind of put on the back burner. So the latest was, we had submitted it, and then Westinghouse needed more funding. And just the way that it worked out, it had to be taken off the project list. But Amy at the land bank, I give her a ton of credit. She persevered through that. I brought her and Bart and Joe and I into Shelby, and we said, okay, how do we tackle this? Like, what can we do to get this building down? Who do we need to partner with? What do we need to do? We talked about a lot of things in that meeting, kind of left with a tentative plan. And then Amy found that they had changed something again in the rules at the state level, and went back and said, hey, can we put this project forward? And they said no. And she said, well, but according to what you have here, it should work. And she continued to fight that battle until they said, you know what, it should work, and go ahead and resubmit it. So all that to say, I think funding has been announced at the state level. That building will come down in 2025. So super excited about that.
That's great.
Yeah, great partnership. Manufacturing expansion, I can't say a whole lot about this other than it is $45 million in capital expenditures. It's 30 new jobs. It could have gone to multiple different states. We looked at those states and we made a really good case for keeping that business in Shelby, retaining a bunch of employees, adding new employees. And we're really excited when we get to talk about it a little more in depth. Again, for Shelby. Shaw Building redevelopment plan. So the CIC in Shelby purchased a building on the Main and Gamble several years ago. It was in terrible disrepair, and really they bought it to say, like, let's control this site, because site control is what we talk about so often in economic development. It is the key to getting things done. So the CIC controlled that building. It's been a little bit on the back burner because there's been other projects that the CIC has been working through. And we decided, like, this is time, we need to tackle this building. So we did apply through Jobs Ohio for a Vibrant Communities planning grant. And I'm happy to say we did get word that we received that grant funding. We partnered with an architect and Adina Special Projects Group, and we're going to start the planning for that building to redevelop it and get it back into use on Main Street. And I will say, when I started in this job 6 years ago and went around and talked to all the businesses in Shelby, one common thread was, we've got to fix this blue building. It's known as the blue building. It's the Shaw building. So hopefully that will be something that we can actually tackle and get that building back into useful function. Kind of along those same lines, the Shelby Foundation also approached their board about purchasing some real estate downtown and revitalizing that, bringing it back to life. I helped them kind of walk through the process of buying several buildings on Main Street. And they are actively engaged with an architect as well to kind of bring those to white box, and then we'll fill those buildings with tenants or possibly new owners, depending on which direction they go. But that was also a huge accomplishment last year. One, to really create a buy-in on that and get the board, excited and kind of quell some of the fears of owning some of that real estate, which are, really cool, hundreds of years old buildings that come with their own set of challenges. So I'm excited to say that probably at the end of next year, the Main Street in Shelby is going to have definitely a different look in many of those spaces. So, and hopefully that just continues the trend of revitalization on Main Street that started, years ago with planning the Main Street project that has come in phases. So I think all that to say, all of this stuff is kind of built on each win, and that is what we plan to continue to do in 25.
Can I ask a question, Jessica? How much was the Vibrant Communities Planning Grant?
So the planning grant is matching dollars, and it's $20,000. So it's really a $40,000 investment into, engineering and architect, really to see what it's going to take to bring that building back to life. And the CIC has provided matching funds for that. And one other note on that planning grant, it's really preliminary to Vibrant Communities program, which once we get through the planning process, we would apply for that, and there are additional funds available to help with a revitalization project, full scale for the building.
Clint, workforce it up, buddy.
All right, thank you guys. First, one of the things we've always done is job fairs in Richland County. And we are continuously looking to make that most effective. How do we make a job fair as effective as it can be for the time the employers are putting in to come and meet individuals? And we're kind of shifting our focus to more of career exploration events instead of your traditional job fair setup. One of the things we did this year was the Aviation Career Day that Barrett mentioned. This took place at the airport. It was for upperclassmen in high school. And we had 5 high schools that attended this year. And students had the opportunity to see where we're going in modern mobility, learn about that hands-on drone flight, learn about technology and aircraft, a lot of different opportunities that are coming. And we wanted them to get the opportunity to see what those are and what it might look like as a career. So we're going to continue that. We had about 50 students this year. Hopefully that's should double this year. We kind of managed the size of it just to pilot the event. And next year we should see twice that amount of students in that experience. So that took place at the airport here at Long. You guys met with me last week about the workforce board. We have a meeting tomorrow. So you're up to speed on everything that's happening there over the last year. We've worked to build that budget so that we can manage it, know where we are, where our dollars are going, and how we're effectively utilizing them. We have generated more dollars in the workforce board. There's an $80,000 grant that we have been granted to develop in-home behavioral health care professionals, which is a very specific need we've identified in the region. And we'll be working with the Area Agency on Aging to develop those professionals with that grant. And you're aware of the Special Project Fund. We utilized all of our incumbent worker training dollars. Through the calendar year of 2024, we spent just over $200,000 upskilling incumbent workers in Richland County. Already, we are dipping into that extra $250,000 that we've gotten to use between now and June 30th. So we're investing a lot of dollars in upskilling our current workers. And a lot of that is focused on technology and manufacturing. So Angie Cerrone and I worked together to get a Microsoft TechSpark grant, which is focused on upskilling individuals in technology. And Angie has done a lot of work creating opportunities for students and adults alike. Some of it, things like Girls Who Code, teacher boot camps, things like that get individuals into experiences where they're learning how technology is used in the workplace in the county. So we're also using the dollars to create a generative AI in manufacturing course that's going to kick off here in a couple of weeks. So lots of partnerships occurring between the Educational Service Center, the Educational Foundation, the Workforce Board, North Central State College Pioneer, tons of training partners involved in all of these efforts and how we're utilizing these dollars. And the numbers are here on the job fair that we did have in 2024. The job fair has lived its life, and it's gonna look very different going forward. Probably will not have a traditional job fair based on the surveys and the input that we've gotten from the participants. The investment is not showing the outcome. So we're going to turn that around similar to what we did with Employ Me Palooza. And instead of just having 100 employers set up, we're going to feature individuals who are currently in adult education programs and getting ready to have new certifications, advance their careers, and have the employers come to them. So we're going to showcase the individuals so that we ensure that it's valuable for our employers. So we're going to do a little bit of a spin on the job fair going forward and see how that goes this year, and hopefully grow the effect. So lots of things going on in workforce. I appreciate all the time you guys have spent with me last week, today, tomorrow, potentially. I appreciate the support for the workforce board and what we're doing through the chamber.
The Richland Academy had a program, and I believe you had the students at the tables. And I went down and seen that, and I've been to some of your job fairs. I thought what I seen at the academy I think that's the direction you're headed. I thought that was much better than what I've seen at some of the traditional job fairs.
It's very valuable for the employer's time because they know what's going to be there. In a traditional job fair setting, you don't know who's going to come through the door. So if the job seekers have the table, then I'm able to tell they're responsible for the table. Then I'm able to tell the employer, this is who's going to be here. These 35 people are going to be here. This is what their skills are. We want you to come meet them. And that's the opportunity. And one of the things in here is I had the opportunity to go to Baton Rouge this year and present that idea to the Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives Education and Talent Committee. I don't know if I came up with the idea. I don't know if it was, I can't remember if I saw it somewhere or not, but it's not just here. Others are starting to utilize that. And and kind of flip the job fair into something different.
One other thing that you mentioned was getting educators, teachers involved, and working at the Knox County Career Center. One of the things that I think is very important is to get the academic teachers into the manufacture, the hospitality industry, whatever it is, so that they can see what's going on. Because nothing, the academic teacher went to school, went to college and came back. They haven't been in the real world.
Yeah.
And if you can get them in the real world, I think that's very important.
So the teacher boot camp that's occurring through the Mid-Ohio Educational Service Center, this was the second year. Amy Wood runs that program, and it was very eye-opening to walk along beside those teachers and see what they've never seen, understand what they've never seen before. Those of us who work in this world and, are in and out of manufacturing or tons of different local businesses, forget that sometimes those, teachers don't have that exposure and understanding of what type of technology is being used in our environment. So teacher bootcamp requires them to create curriculum utilized in their classroom based off something they saw in the county. And they get continuing education credits for it through Ashland University. So they have some stake in the game, and it puts that stuff in the classroom.
Yeah, you
They're-
can't blame them if they've never been exposed to it. It's a eye opener, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Sandy, I think last but not least, right?
Sort of, we've got one more after this that will kind of all. As we heard from everybody today, there are so many great things happening in the county, and it's just vital that we get this to the ears of our leaders in the community. Our talent, the people working in the county, to know what's available to them, and just the residents, so they too can join in with, saying, hey, this is a great place. I want to be here and I want to take part in all these things that are going to make me a better person, my business a better person, the community a better place. And one of the main drivers of getting this word out is the Brand Richland Community Branding Campaign. Of course, that started with the Mansfield Rising plan back in the first round of that. And it is rolling now. Thanks to your support, we were able to put together the really great video that we showcased in the spring that went to over 30 locations. We utilized the locations from that video, and then also brought in the work from the Richland Works project to showcase what it's like working here, living here, playing here. Thanks to our partners, DRM Productions helped put together that fabulous video. So moving forward in our plan, it's not just about that video and collecting those assets. Now it's time to really get it out there in a marketing campaign. So we saw 439 file downloads of the assets on the website, which is logo and the brand standards. And you can now see those all over the county. The city of Mansfield has broadly adopted it. Liberty Park, you can see it in the brand new basketball court there. Even so much as just businesses having it up to the website. So we're having broad adoption, meaning people and businesses in the county want to come together in this singular voice to say this is who we are. And that collective effort was so important to putting us all in the same playing field that it won us the Ohio Economic Development Association Marketing Excellence Award this year. So that was a really big deal for a statewide like that. So I'm super excited about where Brand Richland is going. I'm excited about the next 3 years, and thank you for supporting that. Last year we saw the solar eclipse. That was an incredible day, and I think everybody that took some time to experience it just all of a sudden was like, I didn't know this could mean so much. But FEMA, EMA, we didn't know what that was going to look like for businesses, for residents, based on past experience in other states. It could mean so many different things, from nothing happening with an influx of visitors to so many visitors that our grid goes down and it's, congested traffic. Didn't know. So we put together a business resource landing page for businesses to learn how should we deal with this? Should we let employees work from home that day? What about schools being closed? All this information was put in one place, and it got us visitors from over 100 countries looking at this website because it really wasn't out there of what to do for businesses specifically. So that gave us great visibility globally. And we're still working with our Google for nonprofits, Google Ads. So we're thankful for the support of the Richland County Foundation, where we were able to have Vinyl Marketing last year handle that. And we had over 140, almost 150,000 people visit our specifically properties pages, workforce pages, economic development pages, getting visibility with what we have going on in Richland County. So thank you for all your support and helping to share.
And just to quickly touch on the Space for Collaboration page, whether it's working with the land bank to the destination Mansfield, downtown Mansfield, all the cities and county organizations, we definitely are very committed to partnership with these groups and have had really a wonderful year. And those are just a few of the highlights that we have, but from working with the Workforce Development Board to the US 30 broadband expansion to Build Richland to Mansfield Rising. I think it's also great to note that we have partners on our team that are part of regional and statewide associations. Spirit has just been newly reappointed to the Ohio Economic Development Association Board for his second term of duty here. And Jessica Gribben is part of the Northeast Ohio Development Exchange, or NODE board, through our regional Team NEO partners. Also, as far as our CDG leadership meetings go, we've had a lot of interesting guest speakers from Advanced Air Mobility, as Barrett touched on, to guest speakers from Hamilton, Ohio, another mid-sized market. So I think a lot of the different opportunities that we've had have really helped us not only collaborate more, but bring in some additional best practices we can take a look at from other areas. As we are the best and most affordable mid-sized market located straight in the middle of Ohio. We love our community, but we definitely know we want to keep finding other ways to grow and advance it as well.
Hey,
Thank you.
don't go anywhere yet. Carl's
Okay.
back there. I see him, Nancy.
Talk to you guys since the city made its change after Tim's retirement. When I read the uniform model similar to Shelby, what exactly does that mean? I know you said dedicated team, folks working on it. So can you kind of offer some specifics about what you guys are going to do for the city and how that works from our standpoint of dedicated teams?
Absolutely. So we obviously have a collaborative working environment. We have teams supporting the different initiatives we have with all of our communities, but we will have a relationship manager appoint for each of the different communities that we've got. Barrett's done an outstanding job in helping work with the city of Mansfield with their transition, and formally that partnership will take place starting in 2025. Now, we do have some things in place already. We're accepting applications for an economic development project manager. We've received many applications so far, started to review them, and we'll be setting up interviews this week and next week. So hopefully we will have an additional team member on board within the next month. And certainly, Barrett can talk a little bit more about his role, but each of us has primary roles, but also have strands of other things that we're working on in the community. Even, for example, my position, I do other supportive things to help out the county, the city of Shelby. I'm involved with their CIC. And just as Barrett has done a great job over the years in being point for Jobs Ohio incentives and also responding for requests for information projects. So depending on the team member we bring in, some of those responsibilities might shift a little bit, but we do have the primary relationship manager set up. And on the interim, until we find our new economic development project manager. I'm acting kind of as point in tandem with Barrett and our entire team to help make sure that your needs are met and beyond.
How long is that a 1-year contract with the city, 2 years?
The amount is for $100,000 effective January 1, 2025, and it is a 1-year agreement that's renewable at the end of it.
And are there, I know you guys come and talk to the commissioners as part of what they're paying. Are there measurables that you guys are gonna be able to deliver and say to the city, here are specific things that are part of your $100,000 contract?
Absolutely. We're working closely with the city of Mansfield's mayor and also with city council to identify those core objectives and the expectation from economic development leadership to support with business retention expansion projects, as well as other community needs. We're also going to be helping them in identifying different ways we can support them for marketing and workforce development too. But yep, we will be setting up those specific parameters.
I know everybody got excited when, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, is it Andrew? Company that's opening Arsenal One down by Dayton. When you look at that particular company, what do you know about them? Are the businesses already located here that build things that they could use in terms of being a supply chain company for them? And is it possible, have you heard from anybody in terms of prospective new businesses who want to locate here, be part of that supply chain, or is all this just way too?
Yes. From a confidentiality standpoint, certainly anybody who's reached out to us, it would be in the very preliminary stages. I'm certain and definitely the team can speak to this. We have an enormous skill set in regards to advanced manufacturing and technology based with the businesses we have here to support their supplier needs. It would be looking forward to any and all opportunities to help collaborate and grow. Again, not only our current business base, but bring in new businesses that might want to locate here to support that as well. Anything else?
So there's a lot of the same processes that we have good institutional knowledge of how to do those with our companies here. It might be a different material and a different application, but they haven't had the opportunity to sell those parts. So there's a lot of possibility for supply chain growth.
I know commissioners talked last week or last couple of weeks about the US 30 broadband expansion project. From the chamber standpoint, how crucial is that in terms of now the state fund this thing if it's actually going to happen?
So I have the answer to that, Carl. I actually have on my desk right now. Barrett put something together for me that was helpful. We were waiting for the cost projections, or we had, let me rephrase that. We knew the ask to the state. We had anticipated costs. What I asked for from Barrett and Broadband Ohio was a little bit of a breakdown of what will make up that ask. So we plan to submit that to the Ohio House of Representatives by the end of this week. I should have the complete request done. I've been working on it. I will distribute it to the team to be edited, and then we'll submit the formal request to the Ohio House of Representatives on Friday. The reason why it's a audible from the original path, which was to the Lieutenant Governor's office. As you know, the Lieutenant Governor is not going to be Lieutenant Governor anymore. He's going to be a United States Senator. So I had a conversation with Representative John as to how we should audible with respect to that request. And she's been great on this project as well. And she's willing to champion the cause for us at the House of Representatives level as a result of that vacancy. So the answer to that question, that's the long-winded answer. We'll submit it by week's end to the Ohio House of Representatives.
Still anticipated 17 million? That change?
I think the ask will be 20. Well, the ask is going to be 20 million. And we think it might be a little high, but the one thing we don't want to do is ask and then say it's not enough, right? Because of the nature of the process. So we are comfortable with the 20 million funding the entire project as a whole across the entire state of Ohio.
And I guess the last question I have, lots of job training, workforce development, effective companies looking maybe, there was a housing study done a couple of years ago, and I think when I read stories about economic development, potential employers still very much, that's one of the things they look at. Do I have places for my people to come and live? What, from a chamber standpoint, what progress have you seen since that study was done, countywide study a couple of years ago, in terms of improving housing stock? And is that becoming better, or is it in the same state?
So I can speak to that. The housing study was complete and the group that went through that process, walked through that process, were community leaders who touched housing. That group continues to meet on a monthly basis to kind of walk through the strategies that are in the study and see how we can make a difference. I can tell you just by having all of those people in the same room, they have collaborated on projects or planned to collaborate on projects for future. We've also met with a multitude of developers, both local developers and out of town developers that are interested in doing housing projects. We've been able to come forward with best practices, good ideas, talk about incentives in a unified way. So there is progress being made. It just doesn't happen overnight. Housing takes a long time and all of the people who do that are super busy with building other things. So in case you haven't heard, there's a lack of trades. So it's a challenge. There's lots of challenges, but the groundwork is being laid so that we can build the housing that we need. And there are several projects that are kind of in various states of development across the county.
Yeah, we've got a lot of developers that are interested in specific projects. They're all early stage and we can't talk about those now, but hopefully there will be announcements that.
Like you mentioned, William Rafferty does an annual report for Central Ohio specifically about job forecasting and growth. He's pretty bearish on the Columbus market for 2025. And one of the things he cites the most is even with all the efforts in workforce development, it's still hard to get people to fill open jobs. Clint, I guess from your standpoint, do employers here, are they having trouble finding people trained to do the jobs they need?
I think the largest problem is finding the number of people to do the jobs. So I believe, not just in Richland County and Crawford County, but across the state, it's more of a population problem than it is people looking to work problem. I know that locally, I am hearing that employers see more applications. And as Jessica mentioned, you know, there is a gap in the need for highly skilled employees, construction being one of those, one of the loudest sectors is saying we can't find the people. That's one of the efforts of the workforce board is to help individuals get that training. Or one of the things I say to employers a lot is, you know, for example, I think you've probably heard me say this before, but a company says, I need 10 welders. Well, do you have 10 very loyal employees that could become welders? Which is, I think all employers are having to get in order to get those skills.
That is the answer we are getting from our employers. And it's why we spent our incumbent worker training and then some, because they are hiring good people and then training them to do the job. And that's most of our employers are taking.
Right.
Yep, it is. In 2025, we're really looking also to build on that talent attraction success with some different initiatives we've got in the pipeline. So.
Hey, well, thank you guys for coming. Yes.
I just have a quick wrap up. Want to mention that for anybody who's interested in learning more about the community and what's going on in economic development, we had a Discover Richland tour at the end of last year. Definitely reach out to our organization. We'd love to take you on that. It was highly successful. We had a very comfortable tour bus this time, and thanks to all the partners that sponsored it. And just to have a couple of important events coming up, we have the mayoral panel set to, I think that's next Thursday at lunch. We also have our economic development forecast breakfast on February 4th at 7:30. We have Ned Hill speaking, who's an outstanding economist and one of the top people in his fields, to come in and talk to us about forecast for what's coming up, not only in manufacturing, but some points on the economy. Also have a legislative business after hours coming up later in that week on February 6th. And want to invite you and any partners that we work with to ED Now. That's a partnership event with Jobs Ohio and Team Neo. That'll be at Kent State on February 28th. It's a half-day event. It's about from 8 o'clock until noon. So if you're interested in attending, please let us know. And one last thing, again, I want to thank you so much for your investment in our organization and all the many things that you do throughout the community, well above and beyond what usual communities would do. Thank you so much for all that you do. And thank you to this outstanding team. We really have an excellent skill set. They all bring something different and unique to the table, but work so well together, not only at the chamber, but economic development and the foundation as well. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Sandy's probably gonna be sticking around, right? So we have her at 10:30. Carl may have some questions offline, but we have some other logistical items to go to, so we'll move into that before 10:30. Motion to certify the record of proceedings for January 16th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Rivera,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Motion to approve requisition.
So moved.
Second.
Rivera,
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes. Okay, motion to appoint Jennifer Wagner to the Board of Developmental Disabilities.
So moved.
Second.
Rivera,
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Banks.
Yes.
Okay, next up, we have our annual microfilm contract for the clerk of courts for $925. May we have that motion?
It's not a lot, but I have a question. We really still use microfilm?
It's required by law as of now, don't forget.
It can't be digital, it can't, it seems like
I
some
think
eighties.
the law will eventually, but there are still microfilm requirements in the law.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Rivera,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks.
As Sarah Davis would tell you, it's the safest way of record preservation, right, Andrew?
Right, she would.
There you go. All right, motion to approve a change order for the fourth courtroom project. Let the fun begin here. This is for $8,656.14.
So moved.
Second.
This will come out of capital project, sorry.
Commissioner Rivera,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Yes.
Commissioner Banks.
Yes.
Okay, we got about 12 minutes until our 10:30, so we will recess.
Andrew. I heard him talk about going to the
Okay, it is 10:30. Your Richland County Commissioners are back in session. We are joined by Lee Tassif, who heads Destination Mansfield, and Michelle Geese is here. We had appointed Jennifer Wagner to the New Hope Board. Someone will be swearing her in, but Lee is here to do what he do best, which is to ask for money. So take it away, Moneybags.
Actually, usually I'm here to deliver good news most of the time.
So you're not asking for money?
I didn't say that. I still consider it good news, even though, yeah, it's generally not what I'm doing most of the time. Good news is it's time to put the brand story to use. Good news, and the better part of the news is we actually have all the parts in place and assets to be able to deploy it for the first time. The object is to put together enact a plan that promotes this place. Richland County is a place to live, to work, to build, and to play. You've heard me say on numerous occasions that every community must compete with every other community for their share of attention, customers, and investment. Effort need to be made to market, sell, and engage potential visitors, residents, workers, and all of this needs to be reinforced again and again. And that's what this is about. Here representing the branding committee, which my co-leader partner in crime, Andy Messner next to me, we're the co-leaders of it. We're asking the county to be part of a public-private partnership that we put together. The budget for the marketing plan for the first year is $96,250. Yes, everybody, you guys know this, everybody that we've approached funding for 3 years. In our industry, kind of a standard. You introduce something the first year, you reinforce it the next year, and then you cement that image and that message home in that third year. It's kind of a truism. And Daryl, you know, we have a 3 years and out policy within Destination Mansfield. If we invest in events, they kind of follow together. The first year of the plan is to build out the gateway part of Brand Richland. Right now it's informational and you can get the logos and you see examples of how the brand can be used and is being used. We need to have places for people to land when they click on ads or social media posts. And whether it's in a category of working, living, playing, they need to hit a page that matches up with what they have an interest in. The 4 markets, the live, play, build, work, all we need to put them through their own marketing funnel, which means you capture them and then you guide them where you want to go. Ultimately, we'd like to be able to capture names, emails, that kind of thing, so we can communicate with potential visitors, residents, et cetera, on a constant basis. It's similar to what we do in the tourism side of things. After that, now you've got the infrastructure built, then we can start launching the marketing and awareness campaigns. 2/3 of the aim is external, which is the part I like the best. And then 1/3 is aimed internally. The goal of that is to build pride of place. Research also indicates that your residents are your best ambassadors, whether they're being outspoken outside the county or they're being outspoken and friendly inside the county for people who come to visit. Everything's tied in. So that part is not being neglected. There's different methods we will market to each niche, depending on if it's internal or external, depending on the needs. As promised, we approached some other funding partners, and they're part of the original group that funded the brand creation starting back in 2019 in the pre-COVID days. And that was the City of Mansfield and the Richland County Foundation. The city has already committed $50,000. Do we expect that every year? No. We've been invited back in another budget cycle to ask for more. Everybody we always approach for 3 years, as I said earlier. I imagine that amount, if there's anything contributed to the city after that, don't expect it to be the 50 grand. It would probably be something less. It would average out less over the 3 years. After today, hopefully we're successful today. This next step is to submit a grant to the Richland County Foundation. Multiple years. They are typically last dollars in. They like to be in that position, and they have said as much. Come to us when you worked everything else, which we're about to do. There's a question asked before we got here about the cost and or what we would spend or invest on whether it's social media or digital marketing. There's two terms called frequency and reach when it comes to marketing. You got to have your message out there. It's got to be frequent. It's got to be consistent. So once you reach your intended target or your potential visitor or resident, you got to keep reinforcing the message. And it takes about 7 times for that to start to sink in to be effective. And I would say I already referenced the 3 years to launch something and to get it out there so that it can start to self-perpetuate and be self-supporting. It fits in with that. So there's a lot of things we're going to learn in this first year once we put things out. As any marketing plan goes, you learn, adjust, you can get feedback from the digital world. It comes back faster than waiting for the end of a year. So depending on which ads work best, which mediums work best, those things will get adjusted as we go. That happens with any marketing plan. So I can't tell you we're going to spend X dollars and stay with that. We'll get pretty close to it, but I've never seen a marketing plan go precisely the way you put it down. You just have the principles and the framework in place. But our goal is to stay within the budget that we've created. If we happen to succeed and there is more money invested into the plan, any extra monies will be put into the next year. Nothing will be overspent in the first year. That way we can keep things going consistently. While we've asked, again, we always approach for the 3 years for funding, realize that probably it is more palatable or going to be received better if we just ask for 1 year funding. And that's still an amount of $40,000. So if that is better for you all and how you fund things, that's perfectly fine with us. But we wanted to have you a part of this group that we put together. It's time, the opportunities in front of us. Research also shows us that post-COVID, small and medium-sized cities, their opportunities have been better and been more successful at attracting people who want to live in places where their quality of life is better, their cost of living is better, good place to raise a family, they can own more land, build a bigger house, that kind of thing. That is starting to pick up speed around the country. So Richland County is starting from scratch. We've never done this for pitching the entire community and the live, work, play, build section. We've always done it for tourism. And yes, there will be parts of tourism that'll be adapted for this as well. So we'll help contribute that way. But the time is now. We're starting from zero. So this is the time to get started so we don't get lost in the shuffle. To give you a comparison of if you wonder if the investment is worth it, Columbus has been doing a fantastic job for decades with their brand and their Columbus and how everybody's wrapped their arms around it. They still don't think that's enough. They need to get more aware, build more awareness on a national scale. They launched a $2 million campaign called Yes Columbus last summer. And they'll probably redo something again at the end of this year.
Having to Columbus or whatever.
It's still there. It's just the ads that go out. For instance, we're doing a refresh on the brand. The Space 4 ads are the ones we've used the last 3 years, going into their 4th year. We're using our creative retainer with the branding agency to refresh that. There will be something new that'll still allow us to stay within brand voice, but tweak it up a little bit so we're not saying the same thing over and over. We can make it fresh. So we're following the lead of what a lot of other communities do, especially larger, successful ones. It's now the time for Richland County to do the same. And that's always been one of the end goals of the brand. The time we started was who we are. We know what our story is. We know what voice we're speaking in, collect and develop the assets. It's now time to launch that, launch everything we've collected to start having attention drawn back to us positively. And also to start telling a story for those who don't know us, we're introducing us to them. Plus, anybody who comes to visit is also a prime target. We can start serving them ads. They just crisscross through Richland County. They're already here. Research will also show you that things start with a visit. People are familiar with an area. So there's multiple aspects or multiple ways we can go after people and get in front of them. Idea is to hit it hard, hit it consistent, learn as we go, adapt, get smarter, and then have this whole thing actually perpetuate and succeed well into the future, long past the first 3 years. It's almost like we're launching a pilot program. But we've got to start somewhere, and we think we've got a pretty good framework for it. And with that, I'll shut up and entertain questions. Won't that take me too long?
I think you spoke for 10 minutes straight. I'm looking at something.
Good time to stop.
This convention, what's the Destination Mansfield budget on hospitality marketing right now? Tourism.
Straight up advertising's about 280. You add in brochures, you add in investment in events, developing local promotion and research, and it's probably closer to about 370.
It's 25% of that, roughly.
It's not, in the realm of things, it's not a large ask.
Unless you're the one being asked.
Yeah, I know.
I understand that.
$120,000 over 3 years is a large ask for us.
Well, I'll make a motion to go with $40,000 for this year. And you can use it this year or the next 3 years, however you want to do it. Not saying you can't come back, but I'm thinking that this is going to be our contribution.
Should I take that as a challenge?
A very difficult challenge.
I think you do a good job. You
Understood.
Yeah, and
you got to promote. It's competitive out there. Get that.
I think both your organizations are just the best.
Thank you.
Been involved in yours since 1975, 6, and
And Carl's still in junior high then, I think.
Still in Georgia.
yeah, so I know how you've done things, and I think you do a fantastic job. And if you talk to all the convention and visitors bureaus and the hospitality marketing places, organizations around the state of Ohio, Destination Mansfield is thought of extremely high. In your organization, we just went through what all of the great things that you're doing. So I'm pleased with that. And it's no reflection that I don't want to commit $40,000 a year for 3 years. That's no reflection on that. You guys do a great job. But that
A lot to show off too.
it would be my,
Takes quite a bit to do it.
so I move that we spend the $40,000 and they can spend it over the next 3 years.
A second.
Where from?
It's a good question. Andrew, how do we want to work the logistics?
Either reinvestment or
Excuse-
general funds are what are authorized, but reinvestment.
Let's do Richland and Windows.
What it is.
Pharaoh,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks.
Yes.
Only Carl's back there. He's always lurking. He's a lurker.
At least we can see him coming.
You're looking for 360,000 over 3 years for it. Now, we were talking about 120,000 in the county.
96 times 3.
Takes 250, ends up being 288, 750 for over 3 years. That's our target.
That doesn't include the 380,000 already spent. I was doing the math this morning.
No.
Right.
That's just to get it to where we're at
Right.
now.
Right. So the total budget, if you get your complete request, is $700,000.
Lost me.
670,
Your personal,
386. So you sent, money spent to date was 386. Plus you want another 288, 96 over 3 years, right?
Okay.
That comes to 674, 726.72.
Done over what, 8 years total?
Yeah. Give or take. Well, it depends on are you counting the COVID break? I guess you could say, but
I don't know.
I would count it from when we officially launched it, but it's fine. I'm just saying that's what I came up with.
Got it. Yeah, it started in 2019, so technically.
And we had the break.
And we had to take a pause due to COVID and then picked it back up.
What is, you guys, what is the ask per year, the next 3 years? I mean, what are you looking to spend over the next 3 years in this marketing campaign?
The amount? 288.50. That's the mission total. If you break it up, it's 96,250 a year.
Now, the city you said is agreed 50 for this year,
50, yes.
but nothing, they've not committed beyond that.
And that's ARPA, by the way, Carl.
Yeah, that's how I got there'll be a round figure.
Now, the county is contributing 40, so you've got almost the first year covered. How big of an ask is it to the foundation? You can ask them to cover the rest?
Don't know yet.
Good answer.
Government.
Good answer. Are you going to go to somebody else? Are there other funding sources out there beyond the city, the county, and the foundation that you reach out to?
We started with what I would call the original partners on branding.
Measurable. How do you know in a year, 2 years, 3 years, when it's on, assuming you're funded to the full amount, you come back to make a report to these guys, how do you measure and say, here's what your money bought you?
So one of the great things about digital marketing is there's footprint. We'll be able to see the reach, physically, where did our ads extend to? How popular were they? The impressions, the reach, will all be measurable. So,
And how many emails did we capture?
Yes.
Are we communicating with people on a regular basis?
yeah, we, our aim is to not just get visible, but to make connections and to start to bring, people in. When we talk about, everybody, all communities, especially the rural ones like us, are all fighting for talents right now. So, we need to be communicating with them along the way and getting our messaging out.
And this year's the year of this is the year we start benchmarking. Because we don't know how successful or not we'll be until we try it. That's where the marketing minds that are on the branding committee, this is the stuff we'll be reporting on and get reported back to, and then analyze it and figure out, is the spend in one area better than another, and shift and test ads. All that stuff has to happen this first year.
And where are you primarily looking to place? And I realize an ad on the internet can be seen by anybody in the world. But where are you looking to specifically say, we want to send this message out to either this geographic location or this specific group of people?
Well, we have, our strategy is going to be targeted towards internal residents and external audience. So internally, we're looking at pride of place and, building up our workforce and, getting all that information out. Externally is the infection.
Within the state of Ohio, again, we don't know our outcomes, but we are being guided by stuff that we've learned. People in the Midwest, the West or the East tend to stay. If they move, they relocate, they'll stay within the similar geographic area. It's harder to get somebody from the West Coast to come here. Somebody from the Midwest to move here, they are at us. And that's proven out over, if you're used to suburban areas, you're more likely to move to a suburban area. If you're from a rural area, you're going to do the same. When we approach whoever we're going to use for our digital partners, we're going to feed all that stuff into them. Whatever age group we're targeting, which is probably younger before they start families, and then start to hit them with a message. That's why it's got to be repeated. But that gives you an idea of where. Plus we got an idea of the things that they find important to them if they're going to move.
Mm-hmm.
That all gets fed into the model. And then we just got to run and see what we get and then adjust from there. So it's a little bit of an art and a science all at the same time.
So you're not going to spend any of this $40,000 promoting our weather conditions, are you?
Well, depends if there's people that really like Arctic conditions. The skiers, yeah.
Hey,
I mean, yeah.
we said we look better under snow, and we do look better.
Okay, Carl, anything else? All right, seeing no further business, we will adjourn at 10:50.
Wait a minute.
Thanks, guys.
Jennifer.
I don't think we have to do that on the record.
Oh, okay. Probably not.